when you think about Tanaya Latson playing in South Carolina, what does that offensive identity look like in your mind?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. I mean, like I said, as I said in the clip, if they were to get Tanaya Latson, that makes them more of an offensive team.
Sure.
But this is still an interesting experiment for Dawn because she's had a talented guard like this before, but they haven't brought in the leading scorer in the country before as a guard. And so I don't know. I mean, we talked a lot last week about, you said that it's not working. You said the Dons need to switch it. It's got to change. It's got to be switched up. Yeah. I said that as a hypothetical, if they were to get someone like an Olivia Miles, that would signal that they're going to switch up their offensive system.
Sure.
I think acquiring Tanaya Latson has to signal that same thing. Tanaya Latson has never averaged under 21 points a game at Florida State. Tanaya Latson averaged 25 points a game this year. This is not the time to bring in Tanaya Latson to just be another guard out there who takes 10 shots or less a game. This is the time to lean into the talent of a Tanaya Latson and let her be your best player, your best scorer. And I just think adding Pow Pow last year, that was great. That was a 3-point shooter. It was like the perfect puzzle piece based on what they needed, and they went undefeated. This is much different than a Pow Pow. This is not a plug and play player. This is not a work into the system player. To answer your question, I look forward to seeing it because I still need to be shown with my eyes that Dawn is going to adopt a new kind of offensive system that encourages guards scoring the ball and shooting the ball, because now you've got one of the best scoring guards in the country. So one thing, and going back to what I said about Olivia, one thing I expect to see more is more ball screen action. South Carolina is not traditionally a ball screen heavy team.
Sure.
Tanaya Latson's the type of guard you want to have plenty of screens, Iverson cuts, stagger screens, and ball screens, and she will create on her own. So I think a lot of this is going to be interesting to see how Dawn is able to kind of almost relinquish the system to her talent now.
Sure. I mean, listen, Tanaya Latson, as you mentioned, one of the best scorers in the country. She led the country in scoring this season. And I even posted a reel about that on my Instagram page, just talking about how good she was, how good she can be. I'm trying to play this clip here so that we can take a look at just how good she is as a scorer. Gotta love technology though. There we go. So when you're talking about things that have to change, right? Like, this is a player in Tanaya Latson who has an elite first step.
Look, ball screen.
Ball screen. Not even
in for a reason. Look,
not even
ball
10
screen
seconds into the conversation.
Ball screen, come off, flare screen.
This is you're right. This is going to be something completely different for South Carolina, because as you mentioned, this isn't what we see when you turn on a game of South Carolina basketball. You're not seeing a lot of this. You're seeing a lot of dumping into the post. And Olivia Miles, in her clip last night from TNT, she said, she wants people to trust that she knows what she's doing by going to Mark Campbell. I do not believe, and I don't want to make this, I don't want to say this as like a diss to Raven Johnson, because it's not. Tanaya Latson does not seem like the type of basketball player who would sacrifice how good she can be and sacrifice the way that she plays basketball just so that she can have 1 year playing basketball with her high school bestie. That doesn't seem like Tanaya Latson doesn't strike me as the type of person that would do that. So what this means to me is, you're right. Not only does this signal that Dawn Staley has acknowledged and is willing to change the offensive identity, but this bringing in the number one scorer from the country this season signals to me that they're going to change the offensive identity next season, because Tanaya Latson wouldn't have agreed to come play to South Carolina if she's going to be spending 30 some odd games every season or next season dumping the ball.
Nope. Dwayne Marcus, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh.
My mic just unplugged. That's all. Tanaya Latson doesn't seem like the type of player that's just going to come to South Carolina just so that she can dump the ball into Adele Tack or dump the ball into Chloe Kitts or Ashlyn Watkins when she's back or whatever, right? Like this. So I think we're going to see it. I'm really interested in seeing, and you brought this up. The thing I'm most interested in is seeing who's going to be in the starting backcourt, because Raven Johnson now going into her 5th year, really good player. And she obviously brings something to the table that would benefit South Carolina. But, and again, respectfully, a Raven Johnson, Tanaya Latson backcourt in the year of our Lord 2025 going into 2026 is not the best possible backcourt that you can put onto the floor. The backcourt for South Carolina, the starting backcourt for South Carolina next season should be MiLaysia Fulwiley and Tanaya Latson. And so I think the other layer to this is it's not just will the offense change, it's will MiLaysia Fulwiley be a starter next season? Yeah. Because you would have assumed before all this, you would have assumed with Raven going out the door because senior year, MiLaysia's going to start. But now not only is Tanaya coming in, Raven's coming back. Yeah. So MiLaysia Fulwiley, a lot of us will agree, as will you, she deserves to start. Will she start? I think now is the next question for South Carolina is, will she be the starter next alongside Tanaya Latson in the backcourt? I think she should be. I know that you think she should be. I know there's a lot of other people on Twitter that think she should be, so much so that they think that MiLaysia should enter the transfer portal, which isn't going to happen because as you see there, she's excited to be playing with Tanaya again. That's my big question is what the starting backcourt is going to be.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, I mean, I even said, like, I feel like it's time to make MiLaysia a starter. And, you know, it's not that important, but it's something interesting to watch for, just the rotation of things. Like, and that's part of what is going to be interesting to see how Dawn approaches this, because technically you could start, like, you know, it depends on matchups and stuff. Dawn likes to go bigger. So I think, you know, you lose Bree Hall. I think you need to get another lengthy kind of rangy wing like that. That's like your legitimate 3, because there might be times where you could, even if it's not starting, there could be lineups with Raven, MiLaysia, and Tanaya. Like that's small, but like, again, maybe this is a new, maybe they try more small ball. Maybe they go with more smaller lineups, more dynamic lineups like that. And that is small, but it's possible that happens. I mean, I think it's possible that Raven and Tanaya are your starting 1 and 2, and MiLaysia does keep coming off the bench. I think that's still possible because MiLaysia and Tanaya are both guards that can be point guards, but I know Dawn has so much trust and respect, you know, for Raven, and I just think that starting point guard role is going to be hers. You know, unless they really look to switch things up. I do think that, so there was the quote from Raven when they asked her about recruiting her friend, and she was open about, yeah, I'm going to hit her up. I'm going to try to get her here. What she said about Tanaya was that she knows what winning culture is about. What MiLaysia said, part of it was one in the tweet that you put up, but what she also said that wasn't on there was that what MiLaysia said about Tanaya is that she reminds her of her. She's like another her. So I think that's interesting because Raven played with Tanaya in high school. They won together. So she knows that she has a winning culture and spirit about her, which means Tanaya's not just going to South Carolina to put up when you go to anyone who goes to South Carolina, there's like the saying, like, you know what you're signing up for. Yeah. Maddie McDaniel, MiLaysia Fulwiley. Yeah, you know, underclassmen who people, even Zaya Cook when she started out, people who fans expect to be doing more and know that they're more dynamic. They start, you know, talking about them maybe transferring or going somewhere else. But then Maddie McDaniel's mom or MiLaysia Fulwiley's mom or someone comes out and says, hey, we know what we signed up for. We are here to play for Dawn Staley and compete for national championships. And no matter what you're averaging or what you're doing or how great you look, that is what you're doing, is competing for national championships every year. So that's why Tanaya is going there. To me, it's all on Dawn to prove and kind of show to Tanaya, hey, we want you, not only we need you to be yourself. There's a reason why they are even looking to bring her in. That's probably the biggest story to me, is the fact that coming off of a blowout national championship loss, and this is where, people were trying to compare the Olivia Miles to TCU thing to KD to the Warriors. The only thing that makes it like that is that that's the team that beat her in the tournament. Cool. Tania Latson to South Carolina is more like KD to the Warriors. They were just in the national championship, and they've been in the Final Four 5 straight years. This is, it may not be a super team based on roster right now, but it's a super program. And they just added the top scorer in the country. That's way closer to KD to the Warriors to me. But it only becomes that kind. They only have the potential to have another undefeated season, like MiLaysia said, could be their potential. That only happens if Tania is being encouraged to not just you adapt to us and what we do, but we want to adapt to you and the fact that you are a dynamic, outstanding scorer. And I really look forward to seeing if that identity kind of impacts and trickles down into South Carolina's offense. I do think this is big for Dawn going forward with recruiting and in the transfer portal in general. This is her first, Zaya was a blue chip guard, but this is the first one of this kind for Dawn to show, okay, y'all been talking about MiLaysia, y'all been talking about my system, we can't score, I'm bringing in the top scoring guard in the country. Watch what I do with her. And I think that's going to impact, in a good way. It's going to benefit her recruiting going forward to show, hey, I'm not just a system coach. I'm not just a big girl coach and post oriented, and we only go through our bigs. We can do stuff with dynamic guards too. So I think that can be huge for Dawn going forward.
I think I'm just sitting here thinking about Tania Latson coming in, and I feel like it reminds me a lot of what the conversation was, a little bit differently, but I think conversations you and I had about what things are going to look like in Indiana once they got Caitlin Clark, right? Because it was completely different from what we were accustomed to seeing from them, right? And the conversation wasn't just about, can Caitlin Clark adjust to the WNBA and the way that the Fever play basketball, but it was also how willing are the Indiana Fever going to be to adjust their offensive philosophy to replicate what Caitlin Clark was doing in Iowa to make that transition for her a little bit more easier. And as the course of the season goes on, we get to the back end of the season after All-Star break. Aaliyah Boston at one point was leading the league in assisted threes, assists 2 threes, excuse me. Her and Kelsey Mitchell were the leading backcourt in scoring, I believe. They both hit the most 3. We saw the pace had gone up, and we saw that over time the Fever had made that adjustment. I think we're looking at a similar thing here where Tania Latson clearly plays a certain way that has brought her success at Florida State. Now, there might be some concessions there because, as you mentioned, she knows what she signed up for. But in the same way that Tania Latson is going to have to adjust a little bit to the way that South Carolina wants to operate, considering how you like to talk about depth, considering how deep the guards are. Again, Tania, Raven, MiLaysia, Tessa, Maddie, a lot of guards. But then also South Carolina has to be willing to make some concessions to, we need to get her the ball. And sometimes we might just need to get out of the way and let her do what she does. Right. And so I'm very excited. Last thing I'll say is you mentioned that we might be out there looking to get, another wing player, what have you. I did see as I was scrolling on Twitter that Chloe Kitt's little sister who played in Florida, she is in the transfer portal. She's also designated as a do not contact. So I'm crossing my fingers. I've seen a little bit. I'm not too familiar, so I won't speculate.
Okay. I was about to say, can she play? I mean, it's nice to have a sister, but can she play?
I've seen a couple clips. I like what I've seen in a little bit of clips that I saw on Twitter when I did some digging. I'll do some more digging and give you a much more concrete analysis there. But if the clips I saw is any indication, I'd like to see Chloe Kitt's little sister come over to South Carolina to play with South Carolina.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I like the direction.
And if the reports are any indication, I think that's the least of our speculation. The rumors are that Dawn is not done in that portal, and I don't think that's referring to Chloe Kitt's sister. I think they're looking to make a couple more big splashes in the portal. So we'll see what that means. Last quick thing I'll say on the comment that MiLaysia made that Tanaya reminds her of her. And one of the advantages is that Tanaya played with Raven, played with MiLaysia. She's familiar. She's played with different girls there in AAU. So they know who Tanaya is. And obviously they're familiar with what she's been doing at Florida State, but they have history. So it's not like it's an outsider. These girls don't even know her. She's coming in as like just this big gun scorer coming in. We don't know her. She doesn't know us. There's history. So there's trust that built in there already. That's huge. This is huge for MiLaysia Fulwiley. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Having another dynamic player like you, because that's what she said. She's like, she reminds me of me. She's a lot like me with the motor and how she gets after it. I think this is going to be huge for MiLaysia Fulwiley to have another player who is of her dynamic scoring caliber to kind of take the pressure off of MiLaysia to be the only one of her kind on that team. So with Tanaya getting a little bit more of the green light that she deserves, I think that should translate over to MiLaysia too, where it's like, hey, remember, I'm still the one who can put it behind my back and transition and lay anybody I want. So if we're opening up this system a little bit more, I think that's going to only benefit MiLaysia Fulwiley.
MiLaysia Fulwiley, so far in 2 years at South Carolina, has not played with anyone nearly the caliber of Tanaya Latson, who has the gravity that Tanaya Latson has. And that is going to be the key. There's going to be a lot more instances. You talk about needing to get a bucket.
Yeah.
MiLaysia was kind of that person. You put her in the game, she can score 8 straight by herself. You look up and it's a whole different, it's a completely different ball game. Now, defensively, you can't double MiLaysia. You can't give all your attention to MiLaysia because you've got the number 1 scorer in the country from this past season who can still go get a bucket on her own. It's going to be great to see. And I've already said it on Twitter a couple of times. I said it to you. I joked on Monday that if we did get Tanaya Latson, I was going to start looking into real estate in South Carolina so I can live there for the season. I don't have the finances for that. But I am making it my business to at some point go down there to watch this team with my own 2 eyes. I am telling you now, I will be in Columbia Life Arena watching the South Carolina Gamecocks play basketball. And hopefully, if things go well, I will be in the building when they cut down the nets next season.
Yeah. I just think that's such a big statement by Dawn and that program, because I think Dawn has heard people talk about their, like, maybe they're not that exciting. They're not that dynamic. We talked all year about their offense and how it can come off a little dry, a little stale. This is a big statement for Dawn and that program to bring in a player like this. It kind of just counters all the narratives that have been going on about their program and how they operate and what they do. And this is a huge move, man. It brings a new level of excitement with that program that I don't think, like, there's been excitement because they've been so successful, but just in terms of like Showtime, like you call MiLaysia Showtime, like they're going to look a lot more like a Showtime team than just like a great basketball team. Like this is a new level of excitement at South Carolina. This is such a dope story.